Now I invite Dr. Sanjana, Head of Clinical Services, Cornea Cataract Refractive Surgeon, Dr. Agarwal's Eye Hospital, Kochi, to share her insights on the partial thickness anterior corneal transplant technique, the DAL.
Thank you, Ashwati. Full thickness transplants are now not accepted for most of the cases except for certain limited conditions. So, lamellar keratoplasties are basically selective transplant where only the diseased part of the cornea is replaced and the unaffected healthy cornea is retained in the host. So, whenever up to the posterior stroma we are dissecting, it is called as anterior lamellar keratoplasty. Anything involving the endothelium or descendant membrane only is called as a posterior lamellar keratoplasty. Now, the benefits of anterior lamellar keratoplasty over PKP is that there is no endothelial rejection as it is the host itself. Early visual rehabilitation by 6 months for the patients because of the suture related complications are much lesser. Better biomechanical support because the entire endothelial area, the trabecular is undisturbed. That is why the patient has much support. Extraocular procedures, issues like open globe complications, as Dr. Ashwati clearly mentioned, suprachoroidals and prolapses, all these things can be avoided. Short course of medications for the patients because the rejection rate is quite low. And last but not the least, the most dreaded complication, the risk of secondary glaucoma following penetrating keratoplasty can be avoided with that. The indications are any pathology that is involving the anterior part of the cornea except for a good functioning endothelium. Keratoconus, superficial stromal opacity, stromal dystrophies, ocular surface reconstruction, especially in chemical injuries where most of the time it is the anterior two-third being involved, and early infections where again it's only the anterior two-third and the endothelium is within normal limit. Infections, you need to understand that if there is a hyperpaeon, therapeutic keratoplasty would be a better option compared to a DALC because interface infections are sometimes common. The most important preoperative evaluation is a slit lamp checkup. So, ocular surface analysis is very important to make sure that the patient does not have Fuchs dystrophy or any kind of endothelial diseases, so that we are sure to take it only for the anterior segment. Make sure that the patient does not have any deep scar or full thickness scar in the visual axis. If it's in the paracentral area, still it can be taken up, but if it's there in the visual axis, then we will not be able to do DALC procedure. That is where ASOCT is very important. So you take the ASOCT of the patient, you'll get to know what type of interface is available. Always, even though you are an expert in doing an anterior lamellar keratoplasty, please check the axial length and IOL calculations, because we never know, if it's a bad day, it may get converted into a PKP, lens explant, expulsion, anything can happen. And also keep a backup tissue for PKP in your beginning time, because as I said, if it's a bad day, any case can get converted into a full thickness transplant. Now, when it comes to OCT, as you can see here, this was basically taken for keratoconus, where anything that has scarring up to the two-third can be still considered for a DALC procedure, whereas full thickness scarring should always be avoided for any type of a anterior lamellar keratoplasty. Now, in coming to the techniques of DALC, the first 300 microns has to be removed by trephination. So, you can use your trephination which is pre-gauged suction trephines or your regular manual trephines, as Dr. Ashwati showed rotation of the trephination. You 2 or 3 rotation of your regular trephine will remove the anterior 300 microns. So, all the techniques are going to start after removing this 300 microns. So you have the manual DALC, where after this, in your beginning part of your career, you can consider to do it layer by layer, or you can inject air into the interface and try to dissect it, or visco assisted. Then you have the Anwar's big bubble DALC. The benefit of big bubble DALC is that you have a clear interface and you're sure that the patient's visual quality will be excellent. And femtosecond assisted DALC. Now coming to the manual DALC. Manual DALC requires lot of patience, because removing layer by layer might take almost half an hour to 1 hour. So it takes a lot of patience till you actually reach the clear posterior stroma. So as you can see here, once the initial trephine is done, you have to just remove the initial 300 microns after partial trephination. So once this is done, you have to pick up the uneven layers of the stroma and continue dissecting till you feel that you have an almost near normal posterior stroma and your clarity is there. Only after that you can put the donor tissue. So as you can see here, you have to pick fiber by fiber, fiber by fiber. The only thing is lesser learning curve and better chances of non-conversion to PKP in this condition. But the interface can be hazy, the quality of vision can be poorer compared to the normal a big bubble DALC. So as you can see, when you reach the posterior stroma, when you put saline, normally it will be more clearer interface. So after this, you can remove the endothelium from the donor cornea and place the donor cornea. So you need to know that full thickness or 50-80% thickness of the donor cornea, whereas the host cornea, you should take it only at the rim of the button. Now, coming to the Anwar's big bubble, you have 2 or 3 types of bubble which is being formed, and this was mainly identified after the identifying the Duas layer. So, in type 1, big bubble is normally preferred, wherein the air bubble enters between the posterior stroma and the Duas layer. This is very well defined, 8 to 9 mm in measurement, and it spreads from the center to periphery. Whereas the type 2 bubble, you should handle it with care, because this bubble is between the Duas layer and the Descemet's membrane. So the Descemet's membrane is very, very delicate. So when you are dissecting this layer, you should be very careful. If your air bubble is more than 10 mm and it's starting from the periphery to center, that means that you've got a type 2 bubble. And third is, if you're lucky or unlucky, you might have a double bubble where it could be partially between Duas layer and partially between Dua and posterior stroma. So here is a video. So in case of big bubble DALC, once you remove the initial 300 microns, you go down as low as 30% depth. So once you go there, you take a 26 gauge needle or a 30 gauge needle with a 2 cc syringe or a 5 cc syringe. Inject air. Make sure what type of bubble, because if you are very superficial, you'll end up getting stromal opacities, air emphysema. So once that is done, you need to do a brave sash. Since this was a type 1 bubble, you are more confident because the Duas layer is very, very taut and the chance of rupture is very, very minimal. If it is a type 2 bubble, this dissection has to be handled with very much utmost care. If it is a peripheral perforation, you can still continue, but if the Descemet's membrane ruptures in the center, please convert the case. Once that is done, the endothelium is removed, the Descemet membrane endothelium is removed, and the donor cornea is sutured. As I mentioned, the principle of suture remains the same in both. The only benefit is you have a very clear interface and much faster visual recovery in case of big bubble technique, but a bigger, longer learning curve. You can get depressed over a period of time if every case of yours get converted into PKP. So, donor quality, again, when we are doing anterior lamellar keratoplasty, we can consider anything that does not have an anterior stromal scarring. So, any endothelial count is okay for us, preferably an older cornea with low count is always better. Any patients with thick arcus or anterior stromal scarring, please avoid this tissue. Coming to suturing, I've already mentioned graft versus host. Only in keratoconus, you end up taking the same size because we need to flatten the cornea. But everywhere else, you take a 0.5 bigger donor cornea. Use a 10-0 nylon, and the depth should be again 80% in the donor and 95% in the host. Avoid full thickness suturing, because if there is multiple microperforations, there could be a double AC in the interface. Now coming to surgical challenges in DALC. Firstly, when you are doing the 300 micron trephination, if you are not using a pre-guided micron suction trephine, there are chances that because of over-enthusiasm, you may have a full thickness. It is always better to have a superficial removal of 200 microns rather than being over excited and doing a full trephination. So if this in case happens, you feel it's a full trephination done, immediately inject pilocarpine, make sure that the pupil is constricted, start a mannitol for the patient to make sure that there is no expulsive hemorrhage, and convert to PKP. Now second is DM rupture during the big bubble technique. Now this is the major complication when most of them give up doing DALC and go in for a PKP. That is why in your initial period, if you are doing a layer by layer technique, that gives you more confidence, and later on you can try the big bubble technique. So if it is in the center, as usual, if the complete Descemet membrane gets ruptured, you can no more rescue this. You have to convert it into PKP after removing the Descemet's membrane. If it's a peripheral, you feel if it is a smaller one, try to proceed with the procedure and leave an airtight chamber, because this again can cause a double AC next day. So some of the complications in DALC is that if there is any kind of a leak, if you have not sutured properly, or you have taken a full thickness suturing, or a micro leak which you have not identified, there is a possibility of double anterior chamber. Again here, if you feel everything is okay, take up the patient to the OT, fill the chamber with complete airtight chamber so that the interface gets cleared. If it's visco, that is the biggest problem over here, but if it is a saline, there is not much of an issue. Next, as mentioned, like every other case, chance of Uretz Zavelia, because when you're putting the air bubble, taut air bubble, you always put another small amount of air into the AC to see what type of bubble is formed. So if the pressure is too much when you're suturing, or if there is too much of intraocular pressure, Uretz Zavelia is common. Interface wrinkling, again, if there is a graft hose discrepancy, you have not taken the proper sizing of the graft, interface wrinkling is possible. And haze is always, if you have not gone utmost, dissection is done. If you're lazy when you're doing layer by layer dissection and you stop it in the middle, actually the area of scarring is not bypassed to go further, that is when you see this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjana.